Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in crossover battle simulations and reviewing their films. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And in this episode, we are pitting Doomsday against the Hulk.
Motherfucking Hulk! You're going down.
Do you know who Doomsday is? If you're not familiar with Doomsday, some people...
He's a cave troll.
He's a cave troll. Fuck off.
From Lord of the Rings, who stumbled onto the Batman vs. Superman set.
No.
And fucked shit up.
This is going to be a really good match. It was kind of a last-minute thing. I think we were originally going to do Flash versus Quicksilver, but because of Thor Ragnarok and Hulk is such a big part of that, I've been wanting to do Doomsday and Hulk for a while. So
right. And Thor Ragnarok is incorporating elements of Planet Hulk into that storyline. So, and that's part of Hulk's story that we're going to talk about later on in this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that matchup. It's going to be a good one. I hope that Hulk wins. But
I'm pretty confident he's not going to.
I'm pretty confident.
I'm super confident going into this one.
Well, that's going to be your downfall, sir. Pride cometh before the fall.
We'll find out. Yeah. Before we get into the battle, though, we like to do a news breakdown of some of the most important news items of the past 2 weeks since our last episode.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't much for Marvel this time, but which is surprising because over this weekend we've had New York City Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And
the New York
most
Comic-Con.
of it was New York Comic-Con. Most of it was DC news. There was a lot of promotional stuff for Marvel.
For me, like the biggest news item from since the last episode was actually an article from the Vulture.
Oh, really?
They actually spoke with Dianne Nelson and Geoff Johns. And Dianne Nelson never does interviews. So they give...
I don't know who that is.
She's the head of DC Entertainment.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll get into that later. Before we get into that, we're going to talk about the Justice League trailer that dropped earlier this morning.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that article with Geoff Johns and Dianne Nelson. Apparently, Gore Verbinski is in final talks to direct Gambit, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. There was an interesting quote from Olivia Munn about Dark Phoenix being a two-parter film.
Yes. Yep. And that was corroborated by an extra on the film as well. So.
Yeah. I guess they're releasing a Teen Titans Go film in theaters next summer, which is pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
And then we're going to talk about the Runaways teaser trailer, and Joseph has some thoughts on the Gifted and Inhumans pilot episodes.
Yeah, and then we'll get into the matchup between Hulk and Doomsday.
Yeah.
So,
Doomsday and Hulk.
Please subscribe to the podcast. It's a bi-weekly podcast, and it's easy to forget about over the course of 2 weeks. So, if you can, just hit the pause button and then hit the subscribe button and then hit the play button.
There's a lot of exciting stuff coming out later on this year, with like Thor Ragnarok, with Justice League.
Punisher.
I think the rest of this year, I think there's going to be a lot of news items. It's just going to be good times. Good times.
Yeah.
So definitely subscribe to us.
Yeah, tune in. And also tell your friends. So before we get into the news, let's go into our this episode's trivia question. I want to say congrats to Linka. Might butcher this. Minarikova.
I like the accent you put on there.
Thank you. I try to stay true to it. She's on Instagram as Zgung. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and check out her profile. It's ZGUNG. She is an amazing yoga person. She's really good at it. But she got the answer correct from last episode's trivia question, which was, when Shazam's alter ego Billy Batson yells out the word Shazam, a bolt of lightning strikes him and he turns into the superhero. The word Shazam is actually an acronym for the names of the deities he channels his power from.
We'd have to go
with that. Everybody knows it.
Keep going.
The wizard that gave Billy his power used to be a superhero too. What word would the wizard shout, and what was it an acronym for? So
it was a tough question. Sort of. I thought it was tough until Wikipedia. Wikipedia has all the answers.
Yeah. So the word that the wizard would shout would be Vlarem, which is an anagram of the word Marvel.
Right.
And it stood for Voldar, who would give him strength, Lumion, who would give him wisdom, Errol, who would give him speed, Ribalave, I don't know that word, who would give him power, Elbium, who would give him courage, and Marzash, who would give him stamina.
I'm not exactly sure if these are legit deities from the region, from like the Canaan region.
I don't know.
If anyone knows, let me know, because I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, add us at Twitter or something. So this week's question will be, what was the first licensed song from a studio album? And I have to stress,
Not another film score.
Yeah, not from another film score. What was the first licensed song from a studio album to be used in an MCU trailer or teaser? And the same question applies for the DC Film Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, strictly the DC Film Cinematic Universe. Starting with
not the Dark Knight or anything like that.
So
although I don't think
none of the
used...
Nolan films, because that wasn't in universe.
Right. And the reason we're asking that is because we noticed, the whole trend of a lot of trailers, including the new Justice League trailer, has been using a lot of like licensed studio music in the trailers. So I thought it'd be a good question for you guys. Submit your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Just do a search for Dynamic Duel Podcast, and you'll find us on those social media platforms. Or you can email us the answer at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. If you get the answer correct, you will be listed on our Dynamic Duel No Prize that we post to our social media accounts.
Yeah. I also want to give, it's a slight hint, I guess, but I want to make sure people know that it's the first song that appears in the first teaser trailer or trailer.
Yeah, it was like the first one ever used.
On the Marvel Cinematic Universe one, they use like 3 different studio songs in the first trailer. Right. So it's the first one.
And we'll give another hint for this question later on in this episode, so listen for that. Did I get to say the email, or did you rudely interrupt me?
In case I did rudely interrupt him, you can reach us via email at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com.
Right. Yep. Get the answer right, get a no prize.
Yeah.
So let's go into the news. Justice League trailer.
Yes.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was as good as the last one. Like, I didn't have as many fanboy moments because, like, in the previous trailer, which came out during the San Diego Comic-Con, you had Steppenwolf mentioning like the Green Lanterns, and everything like that. So that was really cool.
I would say this one, I was really hoping for a story-based trailer, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like I didn't really get, because I sort of feel like the trailers so far have sort of been keeping the story under wraps. Like, there's been no mention of like mother boxes or anything like that,
If anything, the last trailer was the story trailer.
Yeah, it kind of seemed that way. But even then, not so much, because, you did have the villain, you showed the villain, you didn't name the villain. We have no idea who this guy is. We have no idea what he wants or anything like that. It seems like the only thing everyone wants is just to save the world from, like...
an invasion.
From an invasion, I guess.
Yeah. It does... The trailers do imply that the movie is light on plot, which I don't think actually is the case.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
They've all been very heavy on action. When I watched the trailer this morning, I showed it to my wife, and, near the end, she was like, "This movie is just all action." She said that. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like it has a lot of action, yeah. But I don't think she knows what the story is.
I think a lot of people don't.
I don't think I know what the story is.
I don't know. It almost seems like it's very MacGuffin centered. They're going for 3 mother boxes. It's a save the world kind of plot, which I don't think like the DC films have really done yet in a way.
No, they
haven't. I mean, with Man of Steel, it was all about
Zod,
and it was more of a sci-fi angle where, it was like a first contact kind of story.
Yes.
Then with Batman v Superman, it was, like, 2 heroes kind of clashing. They weren't, I mean, they ended up saving the world at the end from Doomsday, I guess.
Yeah.
But this was like, this is the first film where that's really going to happen. With Wonder Woman, it was more about, she wasn't, I guess she was sort of trying to save the world. She was trying to save mankind from the corruption of Ares, I guess, Yeah. This one seems more, I guess, traditional. Traditional superhero fare.
Yeah. We do see Superman for the first time.
I was nervous going into this trailer because, Warner Brothers got so much flack for showing Doomsday. I was like, are they going to do Superman? And right off the bat, first opening scene, Lois Lane sees Superman in the cornfield. And I don't know how I knew this, but I definitely knew, like, right off the bat that this was a dream sequence.
It's because it's shot very creepily. Honestly,
I don't think it's creepy.
I don't know, like the opening shot where Lois walks out and it's a sunset or sunrise. I don't know what time of day it is, but she sees like this ominous figure standing in the middle of a cornfield. Like, my horror movie experience has taught me that's never a good thing for a dude to just be standing in the middle of a cornfield.
If you see a guy standing in the middle of your cornfield, do not go outside.
So, like, immediately, and I was running like 1,000 thoughts a minute here, when I saw him standing there and I knew that was Lois, I thought she's going to go up to him and he's going to turn around and he's going to be evil. It's going to be like Black Suit Superman, you know?
Eyes red, you
know? It's going to be evil Superman.
I didn't think that. I didn't get, like, I mean, it's kind of weird that, like, there's, like, a dead tree, but yeah, a green field. And I just noticed that just looking at the frame right now. So maybe that's where I kind of got, like, the dream kind of quality to it.
It's a little surreal, yeah.
It is a little surreal, but...
maybe I've just been watching too many horror movies. It is, you know, close to Halloween. I've been watching a lot of them. I don't know. It was creepy to me.
It was... I liked the music. You know, when you're starting off with the Superman theme... It was nice. It reminds me that this is part of that universe. This is sort of like the third film in a Man of Steel trilogy. I guess in like Zack Snyder's DC film trilogy, you know, which is pretty cool. So, you know, it reminds us of Lois Lane and the ring that she got from Superman, which is heartbreaking.
Well, from his mom, at the end of Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, he had intended on giving it to her.
Yeah.
So, you know, she wakes up from that dream, and we're all reminded of Superman's death, you know, and how the world is mourning because of Superman.
I like how they showed Superman, but they still have not said that he's, you know, coming back from the dead, which we know is happening, due to the poster marketing and you know, the banner marketing, because he's in costume.
I would even say like the poster marketing, because all the official posters haven't had Superman on it, but definitely like some of the promotional photography that they have, it has Superman in there.
We've seen behind the scenes photos of Henry Cavill in his Superman suit, so we know for a fact he's coming back. But the fact that they're not selling that as one of the features of this movie.
No,
they're not giving that away. Basically, I think it's really good. Like, we see him here as like a tease, but it's a dream sequence. Yeah. So kudos to them for not, you know, selling that.
I'm still wondering if, you know, because early on in production, Henry Cavill teased a black Superman suit. And then recently, Danny Elfman came out talking about how he's going to be using John Williams' score in the film.
Right.
But he says that he's using it in a, quote, a dark manner for a dark scene where we don't know whether or whose side he is on. I'm pretty sure he's referring to Superman in that instance. So I think Danny Elfman has kind of spoiled this theory that Superman is coming back under Darkseid's control.
Right. Yeah. So you can't blame me for thinking that maybe Superman was like possibly evil in that shot. He's standing in the middle of a cornfield and he's in silhouette. You know?
I never got a horror vibe from it. Anyway, so, you know, it starts off with Lois Lane, and then it goes into sort of like these invasion shots from Steppenwolf, where we get to see like these parademons like fly over. It looks like Themyscira.
It looks like some of the shots of them flying in took place in the modern day, and some of them took place back in like the old days, where there was the war between the parademons and the Themyscirans.
Like this rumored sort of like prelude to the film.
Right. There was an interesting shot where it looks like one of the guys get turned. At first I thought he got turned to stone, but then I rewound it and I noticed that his teeth were sharpening.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
So it was like he wasn't just transforming to stone or whatever. He was transforming into another creature. Yeah. And I'm wondering if parademons in this movie have the ability to turn people into parademons.
In the
like zombies.
In the animated film DC did, Justice League War, it was sort of like their New 52 reboot of their animated sort of universe. Yeah. The parademons they were sort of like the Star Trek Borg, where they could assimilate people that they were attacking. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. It looks like that's what it's going to be like, which is cool. I like that angle. It makes them, you know, more threatening.
Because they're like zombies now.
Right.
Like a virus that could spread.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It is. I liked it. And it sounds like Wonder Woman is like learning about this ancient war that happened, this ancient invasion. Just, you know, because she uses the word invasion
She probably heard stories about it growing up on Themyscira or something. I'm assuming.
Maybe. But yeah, we see just tons of parademons early on, and Ben Affleck or Batman. I should have. Why did I say Ben Affleck?
It's because you look at him and you can only see Ben Affleck.
No, that's not true. Because I think in this trailer especially, I think he's doing a really good acting job. Out of all the trailers, I think Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot kind of shine in acting wise in really? These shots. Yeah.
I mean, I noticed that they slipped in a joke here where Aquaman's like, the lone man is strongest alone or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not the saying. That's the opposite of the saying.
Yeah,
I thought his delivery of that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's a joke, but it's not delivered in any sort of corny way.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It takes itself seriously.
Yeah.
And then that's when the Beatles song kicks in around that time.
The Beatles song?
Not the Beatles.
This is totally David Bowie.
David Bowie song.
Beatles were last.
The first trailer. The trailer before the last trailer, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So David Bowie, they are spending a fortune on these studio songs, the licenses for these to use these.
Yeah.
It's used really well.
It's not David Bowie though. I think it's a cover.
It's definitely
pretty
a cover.
sure it's a cover.
But you still have to license that cover.
Yeah.
I think it's used really well in the trailer.
Do you?
Yeah, it sets a nice, it's definitely heroic tone for the trailer.
It's epic and a little bit more lighthearted.
It is. Yeah. It's less rock and it's more.
It's aspirational.
More feels. Yeah, more aspirational.
Yeah,
definitely. We get to see some cool shots of Wonder Woman standing on this golden statue.
Oh yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
Is that a real landmark somewhere?
I don't know.
I wouldn't know either.
I have no idea.
It's interesting.
It's a very Batman thing to do, though.
It's kind of an iconic kind of image.
Sort of. I've never really seen her stand on statues before. Again, I think that's a Batman thing. But we get to see like Cyborg like holding out his hands, like he's projecting like these hologram displays.
Oh yeah,
he's watching something on screen.
Yeah,
we basically get shots of all the guys. Aquaman looks so cool underwater. It gives me really high hopes for the Aquaman film, just the way they're doing that. The way his hair moves and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. It's so surprising how far we've come in the past year in terms of how we feel about Aquaman. I'm really glad that he's been mostly some of the coolest parts of these trailers. I hope he's one of the coolest parts of the film. And people will stop calling him fish guy.
Right.
Fish speak guy.
Right.
I do hope he uses that power in this film too, though. That'd be cool to see.
Yeah. There's also as Ben Affleck is saying, that's the opposite of, people need to come together to be stronger. You start seeing these sequences of like the Justice League heroes sort of failing. Like you see Aquaman being slammed into a pillar. He's clearly battling Steppenwolf. I think that's going to be a really cool scene.
Mm-hmm.
You see like the Flash like tripping over like a step or something like that. Which seems kind of sloppy. I don't know. I guess he's still like new to the whole hero thing, and we see like Cyborg. It looks like he's maybe like interfacing or trying to interface with like an alien ship. He's screaming. It looks painful. Looks like he's in pain.
Oh yeah.
And we see Wonder Woman like going up against Steppenwolf, and he just like knocks her to the ground.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh crap, things are dire, and that's when Bruce Wayne says, we need Superman, and then you start seeing more and more heroic shots. You see a really cool image of the Flash that I see is like being used in a lot of like promotional stills to promote this trailer. And we get to see Aquaman just flying, being tossed around the sky, just taking out parademons.
Yeah, that's so weird. He does a lot of like mid-air trident throwing in these trailers.
Yeah.
It was a really cool shot though, like where as he's falling, he's like still really effective at using his trident.
He's used to like maneuver. It's just like water. He's like maneuvering through
it's
water.
I feel like though that's the kind of stuff though where I would have rather seen the shot of him falling and stabbing and Cyborg picking him up and throwing him and everything like that. I think I would have preferred to have saved that for the theatrical film, because when you see that in theaters, that's the stuff you lose your mind over. That kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Jason Momoa needs one of his like dude bro sayings in every trailer. It's either like yeah or all right, or in this one it was what do you do, my man. You know.
Yeah, he's so cowboy in this.
Is that
good? I mean, is that weird?
It's different. It's Jason Momoa.
Is he injecting too much of his own personality into the character? Or is that necessary to make the character interesting?
That's a good question. I think the character is interesting enough without all of that. But, I mean, it's fun.
Does it make you smile or does it make you roll your eyes?
It doesn't make me roll my eyes. Not yet. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if it did for some people, though. But, I mean, all the reactions and stuff I've seen online, they've all been positive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. It does make me smile. Just because I'm not used to seeing Aquaman that way. So it's like, this is so novel. I hope it doesn't wear thin.
Yeah. There's just a ton of action shots in this trailer. We get to see, and they've definitely redone some of the CG. Like when Wonder Woman knocks off the parademons off the top of the Batmobile, that looks like a completely different, not completely different, but it was blue, now it's red, and now you see the Flash zip by and different things like that.
It was cool how the Flash was not visible. He just looked like a moving lightning bolt.
Yeah.
You couldn't see his form in the mass of lightning.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. There was a weird shot right after that part, though, where Wonder Woman's just looking at the camera and smiling. It's kind of out of the blue. Like,
I didn't think it was out of the blue.
It doesn't make sense.
She has the same reaction that I'm having. Where I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Was it?
It was cool.
It's so weird. I don't know. I think
just like seeing them all like work together to take out this army.
Is that why she's smiling? Is she proud of the team working together, or is she smiling just to sell tickets?
Both. I don't know. Definitely sells tickets. She's. I don't know. I definitely feel like they're definitely selling more of more smiles in this film in general. Because before it was so. People complain that it's dark, and to actually see a character smiling, and this was a I don't want to say lighthearted trailer, but it's as close as we've sort of gotten in a way. And I think it really sells the film. I don't think it was as good as the Comic-Con trailer that we got a few months ago in July, I guess, but this is definitely a very commercial trailer.
Do you think that smile was inserted by Joss Whedon? It doesn't seem like the type of thing that Zack Snyder would shoot.
Possibly. One thing I have noticed about Zack Snyder's shots of Diana is that her hair is very flat, and in the shot where she's smiling, there's a little bit more hair
volume,
I guess.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I wouldn't be surprised. But in general, I didn't. If any shot could be pointed at to say, "Oh, this is a Joss Whedon shot," I think it would be that one.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it definitely looks Snyder. Yeah, so then the trailer ends with
another gag. It's
Barry Allen, just geeking out over the bat signal, which was hilarious. I laughed. I thought that was great. He was like, "Oh, sorry, it's your signal," and just the fact that you see Bruce Wayne and Diana smiling at each other is great.
Ezra Miller does have an infectious delivery. It makes you laugh. Or at least it makes me laugh.
Yeah, totally.
Just something about his voice, like the style of voice that he's doing in this. Just very kind of like wowzers, kind of,
He comes across as, like genuine. Like he's genuinely geeky and excited. So that's basically the trailer. It does end with a sort of roll call. At least that's what they call it in the comics. When you go through all the cycle through all the different characters who are going to appear in this.
Oh, yeah. I saw that on YouTube.
That's probably not going to be in theaters, but yeah.
Probably not.
It's just cool to see. It's a cool visual. It's still Alex Ross.
Yeah, I was still thinking that they were going to maybe, at the very end, show, a flash of Superman, a one-frame kind of thing. I was waiting for it, but then the trailer ended, so I was
that's how the previous one did. And I think that's probably why I like that one more, too. Mm-hmm. This was a great trailer, don't get me wrong, but I still think the Comic-Con one is my favorite.
Yes. Yeah. This was, I don't know if it'll bring any new converts to
I think it will. I think it will. Yeah. I think the hype is definitely real for this. Yeah. People who just want some heroism. Because, again, this was, it felt good. Good feels.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about the DC Films cinematic universe.
So, Dianne Nelson and Geoff Johns. Dianne Nelson, I forget her title, but
I thought you said president of DC Entertainment.
Yeah, I think she's the president of DC Entertainment. Yep. And Geoff Johns is, of course, I think he's the
chief creative officer.
Chief creative officer. He's, they're both essentially in charge of the DC films, along with John Berg. That's not true. Dianne Nelson is in charge of the films, the comics, TV, video games, everything. But and she never does interviews, so it was super exciting to read this really long Vulture article. Actually, just kind of going into everything that I think people have had a lot of questions about, and honestly, there was so much clickbait that came off this article about how, Geoff Johns says there is no cinematic universe based on this article. And if you read the article, he's not saying that. Him and Dianne Nelson are not saying that. He even had to clarify on Twitter right after this article came out, saying that no, there is 100% cinematic universe continuity there.
Right.
But essentially what they explain in the article is that one movie is not setting up another film. It's not the film isn't about another film. It's about that film and that vision and that story.
Kind of like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe was in the beginning, prior to, well, not counting Iron Man 2, but with the Incredible Hulk was a standalone story.
Yeah.
They saved all that stuff for the after credits stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's again another one of the reasons why they don't do after credit scenes. I remember reading an article with the director of Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
She was saying, I don't want to have a scene in my film that's going to set up another film that's going to be different in tone, different visual style.
So don't, and have it after the film. Set it apart. That's where your world building.
That's what they did with Thor after Thor: The Dark World when they set up Guardians of the Galaxy. And I guess Alan Taylor hated that he had to do that. That he was forced to do that.
He didn't shoot that. James Gunn did.
Or I guess that he hated that it was in there.
He's the only one because that was awesome.
Alan Taylor wasn't happy with that. That's all I've heard. I think Patty Jenkins was coming from the same point of view. But anyway, there's definitely, again, what I was saying last episode, there's definitely a continuity between films. You don't want to have films that contradict each other within the same universe, but they're not. There's not some broader storyline between the films. It's not leading up to an Infinity Gauntlet or anything like that.
Except in the case of Batman vs Superman and Justice League.
Yeah, Batman v Superman led up
setup.
to Justice League.
Yeah,
and really, I mean, the setup was Communion. Was that
there was also the videos from the laptop.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. So yeah, they were setting up Justice League, but I think after this, you're not going to see too many more teases like that, and definitely like in Suicide Squad when the after credits scene when Bruce Wayne is speaking with Amanda
that was
Waller.
done perfectly. Do that.
Yeah, but you're not going to see. That
sucks. It's awesome. You know that they should do it. I don't care what Patty Jenkins or how Alan Taylor feels. That's where you do your world building.
Well, what storyline are they working towards? I think that's too much of a hassle.
Darkseid.
Maybe. I think Darkseid is still going to play a bit in this film. Mm-hmm. He better. Holy crap. In Justice League, I mean.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see. It's also been revealed that and this wasn't in the article, but it was the author of the article, Abraham Reisman. Mm-hmm. He was posting on Twitter saying that the DCEU was never an official DC Films thing. It was never used internally or anything like that. It was actually made up as a joke by an Entertainment Weekly journalist.
I remember us talking about this early on in this podcast, one of the earlier episodes, where we were trying to figure out what to call the DC Cinematic Universe. Yeah. And I kept calling it the DCCU.
Right.
And remember, you're like, no, it's the DCEU. That's what everybody's calling it.
Yeah.
The DC Extended Universe.
Right.
I like that this is not called that.
Yeah, I'm glad that was never actually a thing. That makes me happy. But then, again, I don't want people to start calling it the DCFU. The DC Films Universe.
Why not?
I'm not sure exactly what to call it now. There's really no abbreviation. DC Films. 3 syllables, Let's just stick with that. It's the same number of syllables as MCU.
But you have to have the word universe in there when referring to the greater continuity.
Oh, that's true. DCFCU.
DC Film Cinematic Universe. No, that's redundant. I don't know what to call it. We'll just call it the DFU.
The DFU?
The DFU.
It would be the... No,
DCFU?
You can't do that.
We'll just call it the DCFU. It'll be funny. It'll be funny.
All right. Until they come up with something better. I think, honestly, that's maybe one of the reasons they didn't like automatically try and fight back against that. Because I was wondering about that. It's like, why not say that that's not actually a thing right away and let it become so widespread and prevalent? Is because they didn't want people to start calling it the DCFU.
I bet you DCU is not going anywhere anytime soon, despite this statement.
DCEU?
Yeah. I bet you it's still going to be widely used.
I remember referring to it as the DCU, just speaking about the comics in general. And someone was like, oh, you mean like the MCU? And I was like, no, people have been talking about the DCU a lot longer than they've been talking about the MCU. Because I remember I've been using DCU since high school.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, really interesting article. It's really long. There's a lot of interesting information in there. If you're a fan of the films and a fan of like what goes on behind the scenes and the news, I definitely recommend reading it. It may answer a lot of questions that you have, but I think those two things, you know, the cinematic cohesiveness, continuity wise, and the name of the DCU were some of the two more interesting things that came out of it.
I guess. I don't know. I thought the article was going to be more interesting.
Did you read it?
I did not, but I thought you talking about the article was going to be more interesting. I'm like, okay. I already knew about the DCEU thing. So basically, the only thing that you just said is, oh yeah, there's a DC film universe. But yeah, cool story, bro. I already knew that.
It goes into the history of, you know, like how Warner Brothers they ignored Geoff Johns. Because I guess Geoff Johns, when he saw Man of Steel early on, he was like, people are not going to like this. He was telling, you know, the Warner's execs that a lot of Superman fans aren't going to like this because it's dark, and they didn't listen to him. And then after Batman v Superman came out, and he was still saying, hey, this is still too dark, they still didn't listen to him. And it wasn't until after the box office reception of that they started to say, hey, we should have been listening to this guy all along.
I wonder how Geoff Johns and Zack Snyder get along.
That's a good question. That's something I've often wondered. Well, I mean, this was because the article says, you know, Geoff Johns was not a fan of Man of Steel. And that's the first time I'd heard that, you know. So I maybe think that Geoff Johns doesn't agree with Zack Snyder's vision for the universe.
Does it make you like Man of Steel less?
No, I still think it was a really good film.
Okay. Even though Geoff Johns doesn't approve?
Ugh.
Devil's advocate.
No, I still like it.
Yeah?
I'm not going to change my thoughts on it just because.
You blind fanboy.
Shut the No. But it does show that, you know, it gives me really high hopes for Justice League because, you know, the first film that Geoff Johns really got creative input on was Wonder Woman, and look how that turned out.
Right.
Really good.
Yeah.
So, you know, with Zack Snyder's visuals and Geoff Johns, you know, kind of having more creative control over the film, and, you know, Joss Whedon coming in to punch it up, super stoked for this film. It's only a month away.
Well, at least Geoff Johns is admitting DC's faults so far, even if you won't.
You mean film-wise?
Film-wise.
Whatever. It was interesting because the article does also say, and I'm pulling out these other things that I remember from the article, that, you know, like after they were basically saying, no, we're not going to do this we're not going to brighten up the cinematic universe. He sort of went towards TV. Right. And, you know, got Greg Berlanti, who was a writer on Green Lantern, to, you know, they sort of did their own bright version of the DC Cinematic Universe on television.
Yeah.
What did I just call it? The DC Cinematic Universe?
Yeah, that's fine.
That was unintentional.
That's fine.
We'll stick with that.
DC Film Universe.
So, yeah, and I think also, in part, once they saw the success of that, that's when they were also like, hey, we need to start listening to this guy.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad that they're listening to him now. So I guess that's the biggest news to come out of this article. Not that, oh, it's all connected, it's all one continuity, and, oh, it's DCEUs and everything. The biggest news to come out of this article is Geoff Johns was right all along, and you should have listened to him.
I suppose. Yeah, that was his. It's his role now to sort of like, make sure all of these fit together and that the tone makes sense for the characters.
Yeah.
But I remember like last year when we did our Brothers Award for the biggest events from the previous year. My biggest event was the fact that Geoff Johns was put as the head of DC Films.
Right. Yeah, it's good. It's
good.
Yeah. Speaking of Gore Verbinski, do you like that transition?
Yeah, that was great.
He is in final talks to direct the Gambit film. So this thing apparently is back on.
Yep,
After
looks like
Doug
it.
Liman left.
Yeah.
I said in our last episode that I think that they should just put Gambit in the X-Force movie that is being directed by Drew Goddard.
Yeah.
Because I really think that Ryan Reynolds and Channing Tatum in a film together would sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
But I'm still not necessarily sure that the Gambit film needs its own solo film, even though I love him as a character. Yeah. And he has the whole backstory with the Assassin's Guild and the Thieves Guild, and it might make for a cool heist film. I don't know.
They're trying to sell
necessary.
This film. It seems like they're trying to sell this film solely on Channing Tatum.
Pretty much.
And I hate that. I don't like that.
He was his star was pretty high last year and the year before that.
Yeah.
You haven't really seen him in too much lately. I did see him in Kingsman, the Kingsman.
But I heard that was even a small role.
It was not a big role at all. He was in the film for maybe 5 minutes. So, I don't know. Yeah, he hasn't been in a whole lot these days, so I'm not sure if it's still worth selling it on just him. Again, I'd like to see him in X-Force. But
the fact that they're getting Gore Verbinski,
I do like Gore. Yeah, I do like him.
He set sail, pun intended, to the whole Pirates franchise.
Yeah,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
And honestly, I've only seen the first one of those. I never saw Dead Man's Chest or World's End or whatever.
No, yeah, I gave up after the third one. I was like, oh, these movies are shit.
Really?
But not because of the direction, just because I got tired of the whole character shtick and the stories and stuff like that. But no, Gore Verbinski's he's a fantastic director.
Yeah, I do like his other stuff.
I like The Ring. That was horrifying. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Rango. He did Rango.
Yeah.
That's good.
I didn't see his latest one, Cure for Wellness, but the trailers looked.
Yeah, they did.
The trailer. I want to say they looked good.
I thought
the cinematography in the trailers looked good.
I'm more excited about Gore Verbinski directing this than I was Doug Liman, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just because I feel like this is more his style. I feel like Gambit himself he's not a swashbuckling character, but he is a charming, charismatic type.
Yeah.
So
this seems like a very like DC Films approach to this. When people ask, "Oh, why are they making a Nightwing film?" It's like, "Oh, this visionary director, this proven director, not that Chris McKay's a proven director, but wants to tell the story about this character, and we're going to let him do it." It's not leading up to something else, perhaps, in the way that Deadpool 2 is leading into X-Force or anything like anything like that.
Right.
It's its own standalone thing. I guess the Wolverine films, and I guess the first Deadpool film. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't like the character Gambit enough to care.
And that's the question: do a lot of people like Gambit enough to go see a solo film of him? Especially
after he completely the shit show that was Wolverine Origins when he was in that film.
That was bad. I don't think a lot of people remember that film, honestly. How many people remember that Deadpool was in X-Men Origins, Wolverine Origins?
Probably not many.
Not many, I don't think. I don't think the majority of people.
Actually, someone, who was it? I think one of our co-workers was like, "Did you know Deadpool was in X-Men Origins?" I was like, "Yeah."
I'm like, "Yeah, we try to forget about that, though." So, I would agree that it's more of the DC approach, where it's a standalone story. The same cannot be said about the approach that they're taking to the Dark Phoenix movie, which apparently, allegedly, take this as a rumor for now, even though Olivia Munn said it, it's going to be a 2-parter. The exact quote that she said was, "I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I'm supposed to be vague. That's my answer. I'm horrible at that. It's like a two-parter, this movie. That's more than I've said in general. I don't know why people have to be so secretive." So, it's a two-parter. It seems like they're trying to maybe copy not necessarily copy, but copy what Marvel's doing with their Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. Because that's going to be a two-parter.
In all honesty, if any X-Men storyline deserves it, it's this one.
That's true. It's a dense plot.
Is there a bigger X-Men story than the Dark Phoenix saga?
Well, I mean, you have like Days of Future Past, you have Age of Apocalypse, but like space-wise, like
I think the Dark Phoenix story is like it's the grandest. It has the biggest scope.
It's one of them. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's definitely in the top 3. We'll say that. Yeah, it could be done in 2 movies, and that is novel. Another piece of evidence supporting this fact is that Fox does have a X-Men release date exactly 1 year after Dark Phoenix is supposed to come out. So it would make sense for them to go have a 1-2 punch there.
Sort of like what they did with Lord of the Rings or...
and what they're doing with Infinity War.
Was it Kill Bill? I can't remember if Kill Bill was released exactly 1 year after.
They did it with Hunger Games. They did it with Harry Potter.
Yeah. Enough films. They did it with enough films for this to... there's a precedence there.
Right. There was actually another report in which one of the movie's extras said that the studio is planning to bring them all back shortly after the first movie finishes.
Yeah.
So
it shows a lot.
So that's like 3 different kind of clues pointing to the fact that this is in fact true.
Yeah, it definitely shows that the studio has a lot of faith in who's the director?
Simon Kinberg.
And Simon Kinberg, who's kind of untested, unproven.
Right. He has a hit or miss track record, hit or miss pretty much. Because he did Days of Future Past and First Class, but he also wrote had a part in X-Men 3. And X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah, and Fantastic. Right, exactly. So, yeah, it's still up in the air on if this will be any good. Maybe, like, the first part of the movie will be, like, them learning about the Phoenix Force and how it's coming to Earth or something like that. And then maybe the second part will be them actually fighting it.
Yeah.
Or something.
If you look at the X-Men's track record, you sort of have, like, 2 good films and then a bad film. And then 2 good films and then a bad film. So maybe these next 2 films are going to be good?
Yeah, well, at least when it comes like to the mainstream.
Yeah, Deadpool doesn't count. The Wolverine films don't count.
Right.
The team films.
Yeah. Well, I think with Wolverine, it was 1 bad film, then 2 good films. Because Origins sucked. The Wolverine, where he goes to Japan, I thought that was good. And
I didn't really
Logan
care for that one.
Yeah, well, you didn't really watch it with your heart. You were distracted.
With my heart.
Yeah. I was watching you watch it.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I guess. I don't know.
I thought it was really good. So
definitely not as good as Logan.
No, yeah, Logan is the best one for that for sure. But yeah, I guess I don't know how it'll turn out. We just still don't know anything about the plot or anything. They're shooting it. That's all we know. So we'll see how it turns out as a 2-parter.
Yeah.
All right. Teen Titans.
Is Phoenix coming out next year?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
Dark Phoenix, yeah.
Also coming out next year, apparently, is a Teen Titans Go theatrical film.
Hey, that was a way better segue than...
Yeah, it was. I'm happy about this.
It's weird.
It makes it so that, there isn't just one DC film coming out next year. So actually, we don't want to kill myself doing this podcast, just constantly talking about Marvel shit. There's something else to look forward to next year, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but it's a kid's cartoon.
But it's a good one. My daughter Grace watches this one. I wanted her to, because she was on this like My Little Pony kick for the longest time, and in the Apple TV it was like, oh, you may also like Teen Titans Go. So I was like, let's try watching this instead because I'm freaking sick of the ponies. So we watched it. And I ended up actually buying the first few seasons because I liked it a lot. I know it gets a ton of hate because it's sort of a parody of superhero comics. It's super off the wall and just comical, and it's hilarious. I crack up all the time.
How does it compare to the Teen Titans cartoon?
The Teen Titans cartoon was like an action cartoon, with like a season long like story. the Teen Titans Go series is like 15-minute episodes, and they're all like somewhat self-contained, and it's just like it's not about defeating the villain of each episode. It's just like 5 kids living together and just all the zaniness that goes on living with each other and stuff like that. And
Powerpuff Girls.
Yes, it's exactly like Powerpuff Girls. It's exactly like Powerpuff Girls, but funnier.
Powerpuff Girls was pretty funny, wasn't it? I don't know. It was too cutesy for me.
It was too cute. This is definitely less cutesy.
Yeah.
And just more, I don't know, more humorous. Just the way like Robin, is like afraid of Batman, and how naive and Stargirl is, and just the friendship between Beast Boy and Cyborg, and how Raven's all moody, and it's a great character setup.
If I understand this correctly, Justice League Unlimited is to Teen Titans as Powerpuff Girls is to Teen Titans Go.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You can say that. I do have to say, they'll have episodes where it's just like guys' night out, and then like Robin and Beast Boy and Cyborg will go out, and like their whole thing is just like, what are we gonna do now? Let's try on hats. So then it's just goofy, it's goofy, but it's funny. It's funny. I laugh every episode.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they're gonna do it for because again they're 15 minutes, so doing a full length feature film.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they'll do that.
There is something to be said for watching superheroes in a non-superheroic environment. Kind of like the scene.
It's almost like real world, like behind the scenes. Just like how would these crazy, because you have to. There has to be something special about you if you're gonna, dedicate your life to fighting crime. And they definitely have a ton of character.
Yeah. I think that was the appeal of the scene in Avengers: Age of Ultron, where you just see them hanging out at the party. Like that was probably my favorite scene from that whole movie. Like I like
or the shawarma scene at the end of Avengers.
Right. Yeah. Like I liked that almost more than like some of the action stuff in Age of Ultron, which I found to be kind of a repeat of the first film. A little done that. Yeah. So okay, yeah, I can see the appeal of doing a Teen Titans Go film. Okay. Well, all right. Moving on from that to Runaways. I don't have any good transitions. You're way better at that than I am.
The Teen Titans Go itself is sort of a transition from movie news to TV news, because it's both now apparently.
It's a movie that is based off a TV show.
Right.
There you go. Speaking of TV shows, we got a trailer from New York Comic Con for this Hulu series set in the Marvel universe. Even though. See, I feel like I'm not too excited about this show because I've never been really too excited about the Runaways themselves. They've always felt like an independent comic that just happened to be set in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to go for that independent comic vibe, and introduce some new characters.
Yeah, it's Brian K. Vaughan,
It's Brian K. Vaughan, who I'm a huge fan of. The dude is an amazing writer, and his...
One of my favorite storylines, like stories in general, is Why the Last Man.
Yeah. It's probably in the top 3 comic series that I've ever read. And actually, the first arc for Runaways was amazing. It just felt so detached from the rest of the Marvel universe, except for an appearance by Cloak and Dagger. But it's so detached that it's hard to think of this as like a Marvel property. But it is. And the trailer came out, and it's interesting. We get the basic setup of the kids. So the whole premise of Runaways is a group of kids who their parents belong to like a supervillain secret society. All their parents are supervillains. And they discover this, and how they deal with it, they end up turning into heroes themselves, trying to stop their parents. So that's the premise, and the trailer sets it up. We see the kids get together at one of the houses, and they witness their parents performing this really evil-looking ritual.
It's weird. They like undress this girl, and I'm like, what is going on? This is like some Eyed Wide Shut type stuff about to happen?
Yeah. What? And then, it's some Narnia shit, right?
Oh gosh, I hate that line. I hate the delivery.
It's a horrible line. It's a really horrible line. But they stumble upon it, and then basically it's a series of quick cuts from what happens in that first arc. After that, we see the kids basically stumbling upon the things that makes them heroes, basically. We see part of... so Arsenic has a dinosaur that her parents trained to listen to her commands, called Old Lace. We see it attack the youngest member of the group. I can't remember, Bruiser? Yeah, I think that was her name. She's a mutant. She's super strong, but she's also the youngest and most naive, and it looks like she's going to be attacked by that. That's a pretty cool shot because it reminds me a lot of Jurassic World. I think the weirdest thing about this trailer is the music.
The tone was so weird, I felt. Like, this is not a show I'm excited to see. It's like, it's happy music, but it's just like borderline disturbing visuals.
Yeah, should I play part of the music?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
Go to watch the trailer if you haven't seen it yet.
It's a little disturbing, slightly disturbing visuals, but with super happy music.
Are you sure this is set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yes, that has been declared.
Really?
Yes.
That surprises me. I don't know why this didn't go the Netflix route.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know, just different deals that like different platforms want to tackle different stories. I mean, this is an interesting story to tackle. We see Lucy, LSD, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. We see her get her powers. Her parents are actually aliens. And she like sparkles like rainbow colors, and she can like shoot it out. It's pretty cool. We see Talkback, whose parents are like mad scientists, inventors. We see him working on some type of gadget. I don't know if that's his special glove. And we do see, what's her name? I forgot. She has the magic wand, the wand of.
I have no idea. I don't know anything.
For some reason, I'm like completely blanking on everything that I learned about Runaways. I read the series, and now I can't remember what her name is, what her superhero name is. I remember what the wand does is that it could perform any spell she wants it to, but only one time.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, in a previous episode. So I mean, it looks interesting. It looks slightly disturbing.
It looks faithful.
It looks super faithful, actually. Looks pretty well done.
Are you excited for it?
Not really.
Like, you liked the comic.
It was a good story, but it's so far removed that it still feels very independent to me. The comics felt independent to me, and this show feels independent of Marvel to me.
Yeah.
There were hardly any ties to the Marvel Universe in the series that it's probably easy for them to say, oh yeah, this is tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, knowing that there won't be any references.
Yeah. Is Cloak and Dagger tied to the MCU?
Yes.
Are you kind of getting tired of everything having to connect to everything else?
No, I love that.
Ugh.
And it's not something that you have to go out of your way to show. It just is. So you know that when you're watching the Avengers, that somewhere else, Cloak and Dagger is happening. Somewhere else, Punisher's shooting people in the face. It's awesome.
Somewhere else, you have the Runaways.
And yeah, on the other side of the country. They're in LA, so... Yeah. Looks interesting. If you haven't seen the trailer, check it out. I
think it's annoying because like you sort of feel like you have to keep up with everything if you want to know the whole story.
Yeah.
No.
That's cool.
That sounds annoying.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
I still haven't decided again once if I'm watching the CW series this season. Because part of me was just like, I just can't.
Well, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You don't have to care when things aren't connected. When they are connected, it makes you feel more emotionally invested to care and figure out, what's going on in this cool universe. Who gives a shit about the DC TV universe? Nobody.
A lot of people do.
I guess so. So this is a good segue. The idea of like having to catch up on everything, it did compel me to watch The Gifted pilot.
So The Gifted is connected to Legion. Is that what you're saying?
Apparently, The Gifted is set in the X-Men film universe.
Uh-huh.
Which one? I don't know, because there's multiple of them. Multiple timelines. So, it was about as good as I thought it was going to be. I wasn't too excited for it. Didn't look great. And when I watched it, I was like, yep, that was a TV show.
Are you going to keep watching it?
Probably not.
I've heard a lot of people say a lot of good things about it.
It didn't really feel like it was part of the X-Men universe. It just felt like a show of like this. It felt like 24. It felt like this family on the run from a government agency.
I don't get that reference because I never watched 24.
Well,
what were the two kids' powers?
One of them could create force fields
uh-huh.
by pushing air molecules together, or water molecules, or anything actually, but it was force fields. and the other one he gets really angry and constipated look on his face and yells and things explode.
Things just randomly
He exploded at some sentinels. He exploded a vending machine. He exploded most of his school. It's hard to say what his power is. His power is constiplosion. Constiplosions. The acting was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's good.
Because through the trailers, I don't think I was impressed by anybody's acting. I was like, I thought most of it was going to be pretty awful, but actually it was all pretty good, the acting. There was a cameo by Stan Lee. He didn't say anything. He just
I heard there was a cameo.
Yeah,
it was by Stan Lee?
Yeah, he just walked out of a bar.
Oh, that's
but he looked weird because he didn't have his mustache. He was like clean shaven. It was the most bizarre sight I've ever seen.
I can't even picture that.
Yeah, he's had
what the hell does that look like?
Mustache his whole life. I don't know. It was. I was like, ew. Put your mustache on. But it was fine. I think I know why they went with the name Eclipse instead of Sunspot, because that's the same character. Eclipse is like an alternate timeline version of Sunspot.
Right.
But I think they called him Eclipse in this show because of the New Mutants movie. I don't think they wanted people to get confused between the characters.
Oh.
But I did like Blink in the show. Blink was cool.
It was the same actress,
Thunderbird.
Right?
No, it was not the same actress.
Oh, never mind.
Thunderbird was cool. Actually, Polaris was cool. She was cool. Hey, all of the standard X-Men characters, Eclipse, they were all pretty sweet. I liked the portrayal of Eclipse's powers because it wasn't like the bubbly, Kirby-esque kind of heat blasts kind of thing. It was like inside of him was actually made out of like bright LED lights. So like there was a part where he got shot in the arm and it looked like there was an LED light inside of him. It was like shooting like this bright light in the dark. It was interesting. So the special effects and acting were pretty good. Overall, the story kind of bland.
Family on the Run.
Family on the Run. Yeah. I'll probably tune in for the next couple of episodes, but that's all it has to win me over. It has to do something amazing in these next few episodes.
Anyway.
So, Inhumans. I watched the first 3 episodes of Inhumans, and I have to say that while the IMAX 2-hour movie thing that they showed, that still has 1.5 stars, I would bump the actual show up to 2 stars because they have cut so much.
Oh, so it still sucks?
It still sucks. I mean, no. I mean, it's bad. Yes. It's not anything that it should have been. It's not nearly what it should have been, what it could have been. For what it is, it's kind of like along the lines of like the first few episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which were not great. It still has that kind of vibe to it. Which, is still better than freaking Big Bang Theory. Despite what people have told me. I tried watching it and it was horrible.
I hate that show.
I hate sitcoms. But
was there a lot that was cut from the IMAX?
There's so much. Like there were some pivotal scenes too. Like so in IMAX, they did not show the scene where Maximus kills the head of the Genetic Council. He goes to the head of the Genetic Council. Oh, you get to see the Genetic Council? Were they wearing silver robes? Yes, they were. Yep.
What the heck?
Yeah. So this is the first episode. He goes up to him and he was like, "Have you heard about Bernage's what his powers are now?" And he was like, it's unclear. We tested it, and he told me that he saw me lying in a beautiful river, but there are no rivers.
Oh, this was the kid who saw the future?
Yes. And he was like, but there are no rivers on the moon, so we're led to believe that these may just be hallucinations, like random hallucinations.
Yeah.
And not any type of power. But then they start talking about Black Bolts and how Maximus wants to take everybody to Earth, and the head of the Genetic Council agrees, but he also says he sees where Black Bolt's coming from and that he doesn't want his people to be hurt by the people of Earth because he doesn't trust them, basically. So that's a lot of motivation on both Black Bolt and Maximus's parts that we didn't get to see. Like one of my complaints of the IMAX show was that we rooted for Maximus more than Black Bolt. We saw where Maximus was coming from. He seemed like a good guy. Except in the show, you see him kill a bunch of people. So you're like, oh, that's why I don't like this guy, because he's an evil motherfucker.
Why did they leave that out of the film?
He also went up to the Genetic Council and threatened him. Like, I killed, your leader. I'll kill you guys too if you don't side with me. There's a whole lot of more scenes between Maximus and Crystal where he real creepily tries to, get her to side with him. Yeah, there was just a lot missing from the show that I think would have alleviated a lot of the problems that I had with it had they included it in IMAX. I actually was looking forward to watching the third episode, and now that I've seen the third episode, I'm looking forward to watching the next one. And I think there's something to be said about a TV show in general where you can have inconsistent tones in between episodes. And, even maybe a little slightly inconsistent character motivations or characteristics from episode to episode within a TV show. And if you were to string a whole season of episodes together into one movie, you might have that kind of slightly jarring effect that we had at the IMAX theater. Because, between the whole Gorgon thing when he went out onto the beach, and like a stupid ass walked into the water swimming, that felt less awkward here than it did in the movie, in the IMAX thing. I'll call it the movie.
But why?
It's weird, and I don't know why. But maybe because you have that break.
I think you just want it to be good.
I do want it to be good, but I also recognize that it's not. But I'm saying that.
Oh, you mean you had like a commercial break?
Yeah. Well, no, a whole week break.
Oh.
That's your introduction to him again, is when he's stepping out. So you're still kind of confused. Where is he again? What is he doing? Okay, so he's walking in there. It feels more acceptable than to see him land on the beach. That makes
sense because within films, I remember taking my screenwriting class in college. The audience will basically accept anything that happens in the first 10 minutes. It could be the most outlandish, non-plausible thing, but they'll accept it because it's setting up the universe. Maybe to an extent that also happens within the early moments of a television episode.
Yeah, that kind of nails what I was trying to say. So, I'm looking forward more to watching these episodes of Inhumans than I'm actually the Gifted.
So you're actually going to keep watching Inhumans, but you're not going to watch the Gifted.
Yes, even though the Gifted is a better made show, it is very generic and bland compared to the Inhumans, which is not a well-made show and not even close to what it should have been, but it is still entertaining in the regard of, I guess, seeing the characters. Seeing where the story goes. And
I guess I could you want to see what happens to these characters.
I do.
You're more familiar with these characters than the made-up ones for Gifted.
Right. Overall, we'll see. So far,
A 2.
Yeah, a 2.
All right.
That's it for all the news.
Yeah, let's move on to the Doomsday versus Hulk match.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, so this is a match that when we first started this podcast, this is another one that I always wanted to see done. And even when we were teasing the match on Instagram, I was like, oh my goodness, here we go. If you don't follow us on Instagram, totally do that, because when we tease the matches,
that's where we tease them.
It's cool. That's where we tease them. Yeah. So if you've never listened to our podcast before, the way we do these battle simulations is...
It's the most accurate and best way out of all the ways to do it.
Pretty much.
Let me just start off by saying that.
If you've ever seen the old Spike TV show, Deadliest Warrior, I don't think it's on anymore.
No, it's not.
What they did was they did a 1,000 battle simulations using a probabilistic model known as the Monte Carlo method. That's what we do. We record stats, and then we base our simulations off of those. There's no fan votes. No uncharacteristic feats of strength. It's all stats all the time.
Yep.
And most of our stats are based off of the official Marvel power rankings.
And from there we extrapolate the DC rankings.
Right. And so what we like to do during these matches is first we'll give character breakdowns. If you're not familiar with the character, we'll talk about their history, about their abilities. And then
we'll speculate on how we think the match would go.
Yeah. And we don't talk about environment. These battles always take place in a non-environment environment because we can't record stats based on environment because it's so variable. One character in one environment and not in another, so we don't even deal with that. It's a non-issue. So yeah, let's start things off with. Who's going first this time?
I think you're going first.
I think it's Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me. I don't know too much about Doomsday other than that he beat the shit out of Superman one time.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. I didn't know too much about him either. I started reading comics during the whole like death and reign of Superman. During that era, I should say DC Comics, because I actually started off as a Marvel fan. But I don't really follow Doomsday. He's always just kind of seemed as like this generic character, and his history was a little bit more interesting than I thought it would be. Just doing my research, but I would definitely say that it kind of gets more and more absurd as it goes along. Absurd? It sort of feels like the writers did not know what to do with this character after he killed Superman.
Well, Doomsday was around for a while before that whole Death of Superman story, right?
Sort of. Yeah, they teased him.
He had like this weird costume where it was like a tattered green.
Yeah.
Outfit, and then eventually, he was the spiky badass that we know and love.
Yeah. Well, he was spiky underneath.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, why would you cover that up? That's so weird. Anyway.
It was like a funeral kind of, burial kind of outfit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I guess.
Let me get into that.
All right.
Okay, so Doomsday. Doomsday has his origins in prehistoric Krypton. Now, just as dinosaurs roamed the earth, before humans even existed, and prehistoric Krypton, before any humanoid Kryptonians existed, there were these really big, giant monsters, and they were known as being some of like the most deadly and powerful monsters in the universe. And because of this, that attracted an alien scientist known as Bertrand, who was interested in creating this ultimate life form. Basically, he went to Krypton, he put this humanoid baby on Krypton, and it died right away. And so what he would do is he would collect the remains of that baby and then clone it, and then put the creature, the clone, back on the planet. And it would, it went through this thousands and thousands of deaths, this cycle of cloning and dying and death. And, each time he cloned it, it kept the genetic memory of what killed it to begin with. So it was like a forced evolution.
It's not really how evolution works, but there is such thing as like residual subconscious memory. That I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. It was essentially it's forced evolution. He was trying to create this ultimate life form. So, after enduring thousands upon thousands of deaths, this creature, I'll just refer to it as the ultimate life form, grew stronger with each resurrection. And eventually it grew to hate all forms of life.
Wait, so was it being killed by these monsters?
And the environment and, the monsters, just, yeah.
Okay.
It was the harshest environment, one of the most harshest environments known within the known universe. That's what attracted Bertrand, the scientist, this alien scientist, to the planet. So eventually, after it just going through its continual evolutions, it evolved to a point where it was able to resurrect itself, and eventually it became so powerful based on because of these evolutions that it killed all the creatures on the planet, all these huge scary monsters, and his creator, Bertrand.
Weird.
Yeah. He used Bertrand's vessel to escape the planet, and then just basically went on a murder spree throughout the entire galaxy, or throughout the entire universe. Except instead of killing individuals, he was killing all the citizens, all the life forms on planets. One of the first he went to was a planet called Bylon 5, and this is where Darkseid first encountered this ultimate life form. It was I think Darkseid was going to marry like the princess of this planet in order to secure like their chemical reserves for Apocalypse. But when Doomsday landed on there, it just basically killed everyone. Darkseid was forced to flee because the chemicals that he unleashed made the planet toxic, so he couldn't stay there.
Darkseid isn't immune to toxins?
Not these ones. I guess they were really powerful toxins.
Interesting.
It also made them useless, so it was interesting. Yeah, there's always a cycle where he he goes on the planet, he kills everyone, they all try and flee. He ends up on one of the ships, then ends up crash landing on another planet. The next planet he went to was a planet called Kundia, where the planet was actually in a state of war. There were all these different warring clans, and they actually had to unite against Doomsday. It built this protective armor for this warrior called Cobalt. It was just meant for him to survive long enough to get Doomsday onto a rocket ship and fire him off into space again. Doomsday ran into this Green Lantern called Zaran Pel in space that he killed. And, he's this creature that just drives on instinct, basically. He recognized the powerful energy signature in his Green Lantern ring, and he used that to make his way closer and closer to the planet Oa. When he finally did get to Oa, the Guardians of the universe sent out hundreds of Green Lanterns, and he killed them all. And it took a Guardian to sacrifice himself in one powerful energy explosion that actually created a rip in fabric of space-time. And Doomsday got sucked into that and got sent to another planet called Calaton. In this planet, he just raged against this planet for years. And there was only one city left on this entire planet, so the royal family combined their life forces to create a single energy being known as Radiant. And this being was actually the first being to kill Doomsday since he left Krypton.
How does Doomsday have this much backstory? Did he have his own comic for a while?
No.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay, keep going.
So the Radiant was able to kill Doomsday, and the blast that also destroyed a fifth of the planet. And then they shackled his dead body, then put it in that outfit and sent it off into space. And of course, it landed on Earth. And when he did land on Earth, he defeated the entire JLA single-handedly. Except for Superman, and it was then that he received his name Doomsday, actually from Booster Gold, just because of the chaos and his rampage, all the destruction he was leaving behind. Booster Gold made a reference to the media that it was like Doomsday, and so the name just stuck. Superman, Doomsday sensed Superman's Kryptonian physiology, his DNA.
Yeah.
And just because of what happened to him on Krypton, he was just instinctively hated all things Kryptonian, and it just sent him to a rage. And Superman realized that he had to stop him. They fought each other. In a really, really drawn out battle that went from the outskirts of the city straight to the Daily Planet, and it culminated when they both just gave their best shots against each other and ended up killing each other with these powerful blows. So both Superman and Doomsday both died. And so, after when Superman died, 4 new Superman came to sort of take his place. One of them being Cyborg Superman.
Right.
Cyborg Superman strapped Doomsday's body to an asteroid and flung it into space, assuring everyone that he had, tracked a course through space that would never, fall into the path of another planet with life.
Yeah. I thought Cyborg Superman turned evil, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But he was always evil, but he sort of played as that he was the true successor to Superman. So he did some good things.
Okay.
And he convinced a lot of people that he was Superman come back. But of course, all that really did was allow Doomsday to rest, because again, he resurrects himself.
Oh, right.
Doomsday was found by a scavenger ship that was on its way to Apokolips. So of course, when it arrived on Apokolips, Darkseid recognized that it was Doomsday and knew immediately that this was going to be trouble. Him and Desaad summoned Superman to come help. And Darkseid actually had to fight Doomsday, and he lost. Doomsday defeated him. Yeah.
Whoa.
But by the time Superman got to...
Darkseid sucks.
By the time Superman got to Apokolips, Desaad had already boomed to Doomsday, away from the planet to the planet Kelaton, where the Radiant had previously defeated him.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, Doomsday can never be killed the same way twice. So Doomsday ended up killing Radiant. So Superman, armed with the Mother Box, and by this time Superman had resurrected himself. He had come back from the dead.
How again?
The Eradicator, who's sort of like the computer AI of his birthing matrix, when he came to Earth, put him in a rejuvenation chamber that allowed him to absorb more sunlight. So the sunlight just healed him from death, essentially.
So he didn't really die. He was just near death.
It was like a catatonic state, a coma. I don't know. Near death, yeah. His heart definitely stopped.
So they shouldn't have called it the death of Superman. They should have called it the near death of Superman.
Sure. Anyway, so
I wonder how they're going to bring it back in the movie.
In this rematch, Superman was armed with the Mother Box, so he had like all these other like fancy gadgets that energy emission guns and like energy swords and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he still lost to Doomsday. Doomsday beat him again.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened is Superman, realized that this was never going to end. So Superman and a guy named Wave Rider, who's one of the what are they called?
I remember that N64 game.
He protects he protects time.
Okay.
They sent Doomsday to the very end of time, where he could not escape. The entropy of all things, entropy. Sort of like the big crunch.
Yeah.
They put him there.
Okay.
But of course, Brainiac traveled through time and rescued Doomsday from the end of time, and he had this plan to combine his intellect with Doomsday's body, but Doomsday was immune to psionic control. So Brainiac stole, Lana Lang and Pete Ross.
Yeah,
they had a baby. Brainiac stole that baby, and used that as sort of a host for Doomsday's DNA. He turned their baby into another Doomsday clone, essentially. One that, without a mind, that he was able to implant his mind into telepathically. Okay. So you basically had a Brainiac-controlled Doomsday, wreaking havoc. Superman was able to stop this, the Brainiac-Doomsday hybrid, with a psi blocker, something that blocked telepathy. And then he trapped the real Doomsday in a stasis on the moon using 4 JLA teleporters. Doomsday was constantly in a state of teleportation and was never more than 25% formed, so he couldn't adapt to that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So during the Imperiex
He wouldn't
War,
eventually adapt to it, given his nature?
He wasn't able to.
Okay.
During the Imperiex War, Imperiex, right?
Nope.
He's basically DC's Galactus, except instead of eating planets, he destroys universes. So, during the Imperiex War, Lex Luthor was president, and he sent the Suicide Squad to free Doomsday from the moon to fight Imperiex. Doomsday murdered the entire Suicide Squad, but he was able to fend off numerous Imperiex probes, but he died in a blast against when he tried to fight the actual Imperiex, because again, Imperiex has enough energy to destroy a universe.
Oh, yeah.
But this time, when Doomsday resurrected, he gained sentience, intelligence, and this was sort of his downfall in a way. Martian Manhunter was, for the first time, able to use telepathy to help Superman to stop Doomsday. And President Luthor gave Doomsday to Darkseid as payment for Apocalypse's help during the Imperiex War. Darkseid and Assad, they would go on to make scores of inferior Doomsdays. I remember reading this one comic. It was a Superman and Batman comic where they go up against an army of Doomsdays, and Superman just kills them all with heat vision. And Batman even throws exploding batarangs, and they all explode. But they were inferior genetic clones of Doomsday, because his DNA was so complex through so many evolutionary I don't even know what to call them. He just evolved so much. Yeah.
Leaps. Evolutionary leaps.
Yeah. Doomsday eventually escaped Apocalypse and went back to Earth to help Superman, actually, against Gog. Gog defeated Superman, which created an alternate timeline where Gog ruled the world, torturing Superman for the next 2,000 years, while Doomsday led an army under Superman's name in revolt. It took Superman 2,000 years of talking with Gog to show him the error of his ways, after which Doomsday rescued Superman, and was offered by Gog a reset of the timeline at the cost of Doomsday's sentience, which Doomsday accepted. He became a monster again.
Did Doomsday not like being sentient?
No, but he didn't want Gog in control.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he became a monster again in the corrected timeline. Sometime after that, the bottled city of Kandor.
Yeah.
That was restored to normal size, and new Krypton was established. Doomsday was sent to attack the Kryptonians by General Sam Lane, which is Lois Lane's father. He hates aliens. But Doomsday was basically just got the shit beat out of him by an entire city of Kryptonians. Yeah, and he died again. So Lex Luthor, still in possession of Doomsday's body. It was actually given to him by Sam Lane. He successfully cloned 3 new versions of Doomsday with expanded power sets. The clones were able to successfully capture the entire Superman family, like all the Superman that came during Reign of Superman. This storyline was called Reign of Doomsday.
Oh, okay.
So he captured all those Reign of Superman, including Superboy,
Steel,
and Steel, and Cyborg Superman, and the Eradicator, and additionally like Supergirl. They successfully captured the entire Superman family, and when Superman tried to save them, they all became trapped on a ship in a pocket dimension, and they were attacked by a new Doomsday called Doomslayer. Doomslayer was a Doomsday clone who was tossed down an infinite tube that allowed him to evolve to the absolute pinnacle of evolutionary perfection. He looked like a cybernetic version of Doomsday. So, leading an army of Doomsday clones, Doomslayer fought against Superman, the original Doomsday, and the rest of Superman's team. The clone army was defeated by Earth's heroes, and Doomsday, mentally controlled by the Eradicator, trapped himself in a tower with Doomslayer, and both he and Doomslayer were both teleported far away. And it just gets more and more ridiculous. And by this point, they did the New 52 reboot. All of this is leading up to that. I'm not even going to go into that. You basically understand Doomsday by this point. Doomsday is insanely strong, capable of besting some of DC's strongest characters, like Superman, like Darkseid. And despite his structure, his bulky structure, he is extremely fast and agile. He was able to snatch the Flash mid-run. He is nigh invulnerable to physical harm and mental control. His body is basically a solid mass. He has no internal organs. He only has a skeleton that, protrudes from his body in sharp points, a brain, and a nervous system. He operates solely on rage, hate, and instinct. He doesn't eat, breathe, or sleep. Anything that does manage to harm him, he heals from and adapts to almost instantly. He can resurrect himself from death, and you can't kill him the same way twice. Beat that!
What do you mean you can't kill him the same way twice?
You can't kill him the same way twice.
How does that work?
Well, it's like when he went up against Radiant again. The same tactic that Radiant used last time, which was basically to blast him with this huge amount of energy, didn't work the second time.
So he wouldn't be killed by Imperiex again?
No. But of course Imperiex is dead, so...
My first thought is that Batman vs Superman, the movie, did not do him justice.
That's very true.
It's a pale imitation.
They got the adaptation thing wrong, where he kind of when they were firing at him, and when he got blasted with energy, he became stronger.
Mm-hmm. Can he be killed with kryptonite?
No.
Why? He's Kryptonian. Just the nature of his evolution thing.
Yeah, it can't happen.
Okay. Sounds super easy to beat him. How did Darkseid not beat him? Can he just Omega beam him?
So that was interesting. Apparently, he had adapted to the energy of the Omega beams.
How? If he had never been zapped by him before?
I guess he got blasted with them once, and then it didn't work again.
But if you get hit by the Omega beams, you cease to exist.
Darkseid just used them wrong, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, well, Darkseid's stupid. I can't wait to do the Thanos Darkseid fight again. Because Thanos will just bring out some deadly chemicals and Darkseid will
whatever, dude. This is coming from the guy who was like, oh yeah, Thanos survived a Black Bolt scream.
Yeah, because he's that cool. Really, that was stupid. Anyway, okay, well, I'm kind of interested in seeing what happened to him after he got teleported far away, but also not interested at all.
No, I mean, we'll never know, because that's when the reboot happened. The New 52 reboot, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And the New 52 actually is kind of interesting, because, like, Superman, in order to, like, again, it was, like, this impossible situation. It's like, how do you stop Doomsday? What happened was, like, he fried him so that, like, it was basically ash. And then to prevent, like, the ash from reforming into Doomsday, he, like, inhaled Doomsday. And then he became, like, a Doomsday Superman. It was weird. I don't know. I don't even want to go into it.
Why would you inhale Doomsday? That's the worst. Like, that's like Keith Richards snorting his dad.
he just, I don't know.
Figured that was the wildest idea
the best way to keep them separate.
I get an idea. 2 vacuums. How about that?
There you go.
That would be way better than snorting Doomsday ashes.
Did Keith Richards really snort his dad?
It's the legend. I don't know.
That is weird.
Anyway. Okay, so, well, let's get into the Hulk, who's an infinitely more interesting character.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know.
So, Robert Bruce Banner, he goes by Bruce. He was born to atomic scientist Brian Banner and his wife, Rebecca. He was very much loved by his mom, who often praised him for his remarkable intelligence from an early age. But Bruce's father, Brian, was a physically abusive alcoholic who was convinced that his work in atomic science had altered his genetics and that Bruce would one day develop into a mutant freak. When Bruce's mom one day attempted to take him and flee his father, she was murdered. Bruce's father was imprisoned, and he was sent to live with his aunt. Because of the traumatic experience of seeing his father murder his mother, Bruce grew up to be a social recluse. Mm-hmm. He immersed himself in his studies, graduating from the California Institute of Technology with a degree in nuclear physics. He got hired with the government as a nuclear physicist. I want to make sure I don't say nuclear.
Nuclear.
As a nuclear physicist to oversee the test of his own gamma bomb. What?
This is what I liked about the Ang Lee version of the Hulk, is his origin was like really traumatic, his childhood. That's something you really don't get with this MCU version of the Hulk.
Well, they don't go into the childhood of any of the characters, really. Maybe a little bit with Iron Man in his late teens.
That's true.
College years.
But I think that's a really important part to the Hulk that a lot of people aren't always as familiar with as...
I feel like they didn't discuss it at all in the Incredible Hulk movie because it had already been done in the Hulk movie. It wasn't really an origin story.
That's
for
true.
him.
That's true.
They kind of went through that in the credits because it was more of a requel.
But even in that, like, it wasn't he wasn't experimenting with bombs or anything. And I guess he wasn't in the Ang Lee version either.
No, he wasn't. It was regeneration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the ultimate version of the Hulk. He was trying to recreate the superhero soldier.
That's what he was doing in Incredible Hulk.
Right.
Incredible Hulk, it was the serum. He was working on radioactive immunity to radiation.
Right.
And in the Ang Lee version, he was working on cellular regeneration.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, none of them really dealt with the bomb. Because now we know that gamma radiation will just freaking kill you. It will turn you into the Hulk. So, he was testing the gamma bomb at a military desert base in New Mexico, and the whole project was overseen by General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who had a daughter who lived on the base named Betty that shared a mutual attraction with Bruce. During a test of the gamma bomb, or the test, I should say, Bruce saw someone walk onto the blast site moments before detonation. So he ordered his assistant to pause the countdown. And
Rick Jones, right?
Yeah, Rick Jones was out on the field. He went out to rescue Rick Jones. Rick Jones was just this kid he was an orphan who had been dared to sneak onto the test site. He was dumb. But Bruce was able to barely save Rick by pushing him off into this ditch right as the bomb went off, and Bruce was bombarded with a massive amount of gamma radiation. And he blacked out and woke up in the military base in isolation for observation. And when the sun set, he turned into the monster for the first time and escaped the military compound. The army labeled him the Hulk and declared him a menace and a threat to the public. After that first transformation, well, not right after, but eventually, because he was gray.
It was like 3 issues later, right?
Yeah, it was like 3 issues later. They made him green instead, and instead of turning into the Hulk at night, which was originally the case, he would turn into the Hulk when he got too angry.
And he was sentient, or he was like intelligent when he first transformed, right?
Yeah, he had a vocabulary.
And then it wasn't until a little bit down the road where he became like this rage monster.
Right. But the Gray Hulk will come back. We'll get to that. So Thunderbolt Ross chased him in a persistent pursuit for the secret in recreating him for military weapon purposes, and also he hated him. So Bruce spent most of his life on the road, on the run, evading capture and destruction, always trying to emotionally control himself and scientifically cure himself. At one point, the Hulk helped Iron Man, Thor, Ant-Man, and the Wasp defeat Loki, and Bruce became a founding member of the Avengers. Though his angry, childlike temperament led him to be at odds with the other members, and Bruce just figured it was best for him to operate alone.
Wasn't it like 1 issue that he was a member of the Avengers?
Yeah. Well, 2 issues.
2 issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though later on he did team up with Doctor Strange, the Submariner, and Silver Surfer to form the Defenders. But he was more recruited by Doctor Strange because he knew he was powerful.
Uh-huh.
So the Hulk developed quite the rogues gallery over the years. In addition to the government and the army, he fought the likes of the Leader, Abomination, Absorbing Man. Those are some of the main players. Once during his wanderings, he went to visit his cousin Jennifer Walters, who was a lawyer in L.A. She was shot by a mobster, and in order to save her life, Bruce gave her a blood transfusion that led to her transformation into the She-Hulk. Later on, he met psychiatrist Dr. Leonard Sampson, who helped Bruce separate himself and the Hulk into 2 separate bodies. Apart from Bruce...
How does a psychiatrist do that?
Well, he kind of tapped into... He had a theory regarding the cellular makeup of the Hulk, and he hypothesized that the Hulk was actually like a manifestation of a different personality of Bruce. So, and then Bruce helped him to find a way to scientifically separate those personalities. So
creating a new
person? Yeah, Doc Samson didn't do it for him. He helped him.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
He's a psychiatrist. He's not a geneticist or an engineer or anything like that.
Okay.
So they were separated, and apart from since the Hulk didn't have Bruce to serve as that mental and moral restraint, the Hulk became wild and even more uncontrollable and dangerous than before. And it led Bruce, as a human, just normal human, to form a team called the Hulkbusters to try and stop him. Mm-hmm. It was during the separation from the Hulk that Bruce asked Betty to marry him. And after their wedding, it was discovered that both Bruce and the Hulk were becoming sick because their bodies were losing their molecular cohesion after not being joined anymore. So with the help of Doc Samson again and the Vision, they were able to recombine. But what emerged was a gray-skinned Hulk with a new personality that called itself Joe Fixit, whom Bruce would turn into at night instead of when he got angry.
It was just a callback to the...
Yeah, to the original Hulk. I was never a huge fan of Joe Fixit Hulk, but it was an interesting angle at the time because as he and Bruce would trade off, they would spend their time trying to find a way to destroy the other. So it was like a battle of wits with yourself that, culminated in a kind of... They kind of came to a truce. But during this time, he became estranged from Betty. Mm-hmm. Joe Fixit was eventually poisoned beyond his ability to cure with his healing factor. So with help from the Leader, he was able to track down the antidote before he died. But only Bruce was able to administer the serum due to his skin being soft enough for the needle to go through. So Fixit transformed into Bruce for the last time to save their lives. And so Bruce, curious about these other Hulk personas that were inside of him, he underwent hypnosis with Doc Samson to learn the existence of other personalities like Guilt Hulk and Devil Hulk, which were all manifestations of aspects of his own personality.
I have a question real quick about
Sure.
Doc Samson.
Yeah.
Does he have powers?
Yes, he does.
Why does he have long green hair?
Because when he was helping Bruce out that first time, he siphoned off some of the gamma radiation and exposed himself to it in an effort to get superpowers. It was a selfish move.
Oh,
he was kind of a dick.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Later on, he became okay. So Bruce was able to merge all these personalities together and finally gain control not only of his transformation, but of the Hulk's mind, who's back to being green again.
That's cool.
Yeah. In a weird twist, this Professor Hulk, which is what he was called, when Professor Hulk would get too angry, he would transform into Bruce's body, but he would have the mind and intelligence of the Savage Hulk. So Bruce stayed in Professor Hulk mode permanently for a while. This was during the whole Infinity Gauntlet story too. So after that whole event, Infinity Gauntlet, he reunited with Betty, though she eventually succumbed to cancer that was believed to have developed due to prolonged exposure to the gamma radiation that the Hulk lightly expelled all the time. Though it was later revealed that the Abomination actually poisoned her.
It's messed up.
Yeah. Bruce became extremely suicidal at this point, but failed to find a way to kill himself without turning into the Hulk. So he lived as a hermit in Alaska for a while when he was recruited by Nick Fury to go into space to destroy a Hydra satellite. And the Hulk succeeded, but a secret group of Earth's heroes known as the Illuminati, which is like Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man,
Black Bolt, Doctor Strange,
Black Panther, Doctor Strange, yeah.
Professor X.
They decided to use this opportunity to send Hulk off into space to a planet with no intelligent life, where he could spend the rest of his life living
Why would they do
peacefully. Because they're sick of his shit, I guess.
Wait, did he do something like recently before that to piss him off?
He's destroying property all the time.
That's messed up. They should be sent off into space.
His ship went off course, and he ended up on the planet Sakaar, which is a barbaric world controlled by a corrupt empire that would enslave and enforce warriors to do battle against each other in a gladiatorial arena. He did awesome in these battles. He defeated all of his opponents, and he kind of inspired a rebellion, and they took over the empire, and he became their new leader. He fell in love with a warrior alien named Kyera, and they, along with his friends, ushered Sakaar into an age of peace and prosperity. And she became pregnant with the Hulk's child, but she died when the ship that originally took Hulk from the Earth mysteriously exploded. So he blamed the Illuminati and the heroes of Earth. So he and his warrior friends from Sakaar came back to Earth and waged war against them. And he just beat the shit out of people like Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Mr. Fantastic, and he made like them all fight in gladiator battles.
What, you mean Iron Man can't take out the Hulk in one sucker punch?
No,
Stupid
not this
Age
Hulk.
of Ultron.
So he made them fight in gladiator battles in Madison Square Garden, like how he was forced to do on Sakaar. But he didn't make them kill each other. He spared them, saying he wanted justice, not murder.
What is Bruce Banner doing at this time? He's constantly just in Hulk mode?
Yeah, he's constantly in Hulk mode. He is in the Hulk's subconscious, but he was aware of everything that was going on at the time, and he also fell in love with Kyera.
Okay.
And so
they're not two separate entities. They're the same person.
Yeah, they're in each other's subconscious all the time, and that was really what like made the Hulk so powerful at this point. One of the reasons, in addition to his anger, was that Bruce was not holding back, trying to be his moral foundation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And mental foundation. So it was later revealed that one of the Hulk's alien friends was responsible for the ship exploding and Kyera's death, and not the Earth heroes. So he kind of was like, oh, my bad.
Yeah.
So Bruce surrendered, and he was imprisoned for destroying much of New York near the end of World War Hulk. But his prison was destroyed when the fiery Red Hulk came onto the scene. The Red Hulk was actually General Thunderbolt Ross, who made a deal with MODOK and the evil organization AIM to bring his daughter Betty back to life, which they did, and she came back as the Red She-Hulk.
So dumb. You get mad at me for saying like DC has like like 3 heroes. They have so many Green Lanterns, so many Supermen.
Well, Marvel's been doing that a lot lately, but Banner was able actually to depower them through a modification of the Extremis virus that led to a super smart Hulk, and the Smart Hulk was able to siphon their energy away. And
so there's no more Red Hulk?
There's not right now, no.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's not Red Hulk anymore. He's in a prison, and Betty's no longer Red Hulk. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Bruce Banner so far. Shortly after the events of the latest Secret War with the incursions and everything, a young scientist named Amadeus Cho used special nanites to remove the Hulk from Banner and absorb it into himself, making Cho the new Hulk.
The totally awesome Hulk.
Yeah, I thought it was freaking stupid. Like, I know Cho is smart and all, but like so is Reed Richards and Tony Stark. And like, it was really that easy all along. It was just nanites, just separate them.
Dumb.
Yeah. And actually, in the Civil War II event, Bruce was killed by Hawkeye, who used a special arrow that Bruce gave him in case he was ever about to transform into the Hulk again.
What kind of arrow was this?
I don't know. It was a special arrow.
Was it like a bone protrusion arrow?
Bone protrusion arrow? No, it was not a bone protrusion arrow. That's not going to do
Dang
shit.
Dang it.
So it was predicted in Civil War II by the precognitive human Ulysses Kane that the Hulk would one day go on a rampage that would kill several heroes. So Hawkeye did a preemptive strike. So that's where he's at. Bruce is dead, but he'll be back. I think he's coming back in this Marvel Legacy event. Actually,
you haven't read that yet?
No, I haven't. Well, I'm a year behind because I have the Marvel Unlimited account, which is a year behind.
Oh, jeez.
I don't get new comics.
Oh, jeez.
So for his powers, he's one of the strongest beings in the Marvel Universe with potentially limitless strength, durability, stamina, and healing. Though he does have a base strength level that's above 100 tons. When he gets angry enough, such as like when he came to Earth in the World War Hulk event, he was so angry and powerful that he could have destroyed the Eastern Seaboard with just a few footsteps. He's visually identifiable in that mode by the massive green gamma radiation that he emits. It's like a wild energy aura. Mm-hmm. Hulk has lightning-fast reflexes and can run at, quote, eye-blurring speeds, which I assume is like around 100 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. He can leap great distances, covering about 1,000 miles a leap at his angriest. So that's like a couple states. So it's like he kind of...
Doomsday could do all of that.
Whatever. He can nearly jump out of Earth's orbit occasionally. He can create powerful sonic vibrations by clapping his hands together or induce tremors and fissures by hitting the ground. His skin is so tough it can't be pierced, except for exceptionally strong metals such as adamantium or vibranium. Mm-hmm. He's even survived the impact of nuclear explosions from Ground Zero. When he does get hurt, though, he has a regenerative healing factor that takes care of minor to massive wounds. Mm-hmm. He also does have some energy manipulation abilities, minor ones, particularly dealing with radiation.
You could absorb it?
Yeah, where he's able to absorb radiation, and in cases where he's angry enough, emit it in high concentration. His body is like a gamma radiation battery.
I know that was like Red Hulk, because I remember with Hulk, obviously matter Hulk gets stronger, Hulk gets, both Red Hulk was like matter Hulk gets hotter, Hulk gets, or something like that. That's so dumb.
I'll admit that I'm glad Red Hulk is not currently around anymore, because I just didn't like the concept. But it's like, let's take our character, make him a different color, and just call him that,
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's it for the Hulk. Limitless strength and durability and all that. If Doomsday gets Hulk mad enough, Doomsday's gonna die.
No, I mean, here's the thing. We know Superman. I'm pretty sure, confident Superman is stronger than the Hulk base level. And Doomsday is stronger than Superman. So,
Doomsday is stronger than Superman?
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh. Well, here's the thing. A lot of characters base level are stronger than Hulk, including the Abomination. But they don't have that. They have a limit to how strong they could get.
Yeah.
Hulk has limitless potential strength. So,
and I'd like to see that Doomsday does as well, but he has to be through evolution. He has to die, essentially.
If he dies, he loses the match. There's no coming back from dying.
Nah,
in this.
Not when your power is resurrection.
No, the rules are when you die, unless you're like your resurrection man or something. I don't know. I wouldn't even apply that to him. We would never use him in one of these matches because the simulation ends when somebody dies. Or someone's, incapacitated. Or however they would lose.
Okay.
So,
well, I could guarantee you if the Hulk even does get to a point where he's stronger than Doomsday, which I guess that's plausible because I'm sure Doomsday is gonna annoy the shit out of Hulk.
Oh, he'll be very annoying. Yes.
Doomsday is just so durable. He's so solid.
So is Hulk.
The Hulk is made. He has like squishy parts in the middle of his body.
Yeah, but he has a healing factor. I mean, he's maybe not as invulnerable as Doomsday, but he has the healing factor to make up for that. And as he gets stronger, he becomes more durable. So he has potentially limitless strength. In addition, he has potentially limitless durability.
So dumb. Hulk is so dumb. Actually, I really like the Hulk. I wish he was a DC character. He's probably my favorite Marvel character.
I guess.
But I do think that Doomsday, he's just a cooler, better version of the Hulk.
I think if Doomsday has any chance of winning, it would be to defeat Hulk so quickly that Hulk doesn't have time to.
And Doomsday is fast.
Angry.
Doomsday is really, really fast.
Like how fast?
He goes toe to toe with Superman. He's he's able to tag Wonder Woman and the Flash mid motion. He moves.
But Hulk does things like that too. Like he catches missiles out of the air and stuff.
But no, like Booster Gold has said that Doomsday is faster than the Flash. I don't really buy that, but it just goes to show how fast Doomsday moves.
Is he Superman fast?
He moves like combat speed. Yeah.
How come he doesn't have all the powers of Superman if he's from Krypton? Like, why can't he fly?
That's a good question.
Why doesn't he have heat vision?
I think some versions of him do, or have had that.
Really?
Yeah. But not like the standard Doomsday version that I'm taking into this match.
Okay.
I know he absorbs solar radiation like Superman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. But can he absorb gamma radiation?
Not yet.
That's the thing.
Who knows? Maybe. You don't know.
No, he doesn't.
You don't know his whole life.
I think I do. I think you just told me, so. All right, well, let's get into our speculation of how one of these simulations may go.
Okay.
So they always start off, we say, about 50 yards apart. Uh-huh. Again, no environment because we don't take stats for environment.
Right.
They're both pretty aggressive. So who makes the first charge?
Doomsday. Doomsday's way more aggressive than Hulk. If Doomsday's like, living thing in front of me must die.
So he probably starts charging, yes?
Yeah.
I wonder if Hulk will be like, oh my god! He'll leap out of the way, or maybe he'll stomp the ground to create a fissure for Doomsday to run into.
Doomsday just runs right through the fissure.
You can't run through a fissure.
There's no environment.
But there's still a ground that you could create cracks in.
I guess. You're creating an environment.
Yeah, but we always assume that there's a ground and a sky in this environment.
I guess. Okay, whatever.
There has to be a floor for them to stand on. They're not floating. Mm-hmm. So he puts a crack in it.
Well, then Doomsday just runs right over the crack.
Oh, I guess he could just jump over it, huh?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. So I guess then it comes to blows pretty early on, because the Hulk's not one to back down from a fight. He sees a guy like that. Hulk thinks he's the strongest one there is. I don't know which version of the Hulk I'm actually going with this fight. For this fight.
Uh-huh.
Now, all of our stats...
Well, that's important, because...
It is.
We have an a strategic intelligence stat.
Yes. And, all of the stats get put into the spreadsheet as a bell curve. And so I might just have to extend the bell curve on this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Or I might have to vary up the bell curve, maybe.
Okay.
Just to account for maybe...
I would definitely say that the Hulk, he is smarter than Doomsday. Doomsday has
everyone's literally smarter
like
than Doomsday.
no intelligence.
Martian Manhunter apparently couldn't take control of his brain, like you said, because there was no brain.
Right. No, and Brainiac. Brainiac wasn't able to do that.
Oh, Brainiac, that's right.
Yeah, there's nothing to control. He's pure instinct. He's like, like a plant or something like that. All he knows is just kill.
Yeah.
No thoughts. He doesn't speak really.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with like the standard like Savage Hulk intelligence for this, I think, because that's pretty standard. But bearing in mind that we'll say this
like
is like
Hulk smash kind of Hulk.
Yeah, we'll keep this like an experienced Hulk where like Banner has maybe limited control, or can
give Banner all the control he wants.
where he can exert.
Because Banner is just gonna hold the Hulk back.
Where he can exert a little bit more intelligence, if need be. So we'll assume like that. Like, I don't
know how
like,
far that's gonna get him.
well, okay, we'll just find out. Won't we? We'll find a way. So it's coming to blows. Obviously,
and right off the bat,
Doomsday
is just punching holes, just really giving the Hulk a lot of pain.
He's not gonna punch a hole in the
Doomsday.
Hulk. He's gonna punch him like 100 yards away.
Doomsday doesn't feel pain.
Doomsday doesn't feel pain.
No.
Hulk feels pain, but it only makes him angrier. So yeah, like he's gonna come in and they're gonna exchange blows, and like I'm pretty sure Doomsday will probably like knock him like 50 yards away, and then like jump on him again.
I would say he would be able to do that if Hulk wasn't so durable. Like I don't see these because like when he fought Superman, I guess he did like knock him far. Okay, yeah, I guess that works.
Yeah. Hulk is gonna fight back. Like he's gonna keep getting knocked back or pummeled until eventually he gets angry enough to push. I don't even know if base level Hulk is strong enough to even knock Doomsday back. He probably is, maybe just a little bit,
slightly.
But he's gonna start. Yeah, that his whole gimmick. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. Is gonna start kicking in, and that's when Doomsday is in trouble. Because Doomsday, while he can evolve, he has to die to do it. He's gonna stay at his base level strength the whole time. Yes.
Yeah. But his baseline is pretty freaking high. When you're taking out Darkseid, there's like no one stronger than Doomsday in the entire DC universe.
There's no one stronger than Hulk in the entire Marvel universe, unless you count like
Thor or something? Silver Surfer?
There's no one potentially as strong as the Hulk in the Marvel universe, unless you count like the abstract beings, like Eternity and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all I know is like Hulk is gonna just get really bloody,
and then he'll heal it up.
There's blood everywhere.
Green irradiated blood that's poisoning Doomsday.
You think?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Well, that's how Abomination killed Betty, was that he poisoned her with a sample of his blood.
But what is it gonna poison? There's nothing to poison.
It's gonna poison him.
It doesn't have blood to poison.
How does he even live if he has no organs?
He doesn't.
You have to assume he could be poisoned, yeah? No?
No.
You
don't have to assume
Can
that.
he be irradiated?
I mean, it's like irradiating a wall. Like there's, what are you gonna irradiate?
The cells. He has cells. He has to have cells.
Yeah, but they're like...
He evolves, he has to have cells.
They're like stone.
Stone evolving cells. Non-changing stone cells that evolve. Okay. Doomsday's retarded. I just had to say that. The more I talk about him, the stupider he gets to me.
I mean, I don't see him getting irradiated. I totally see him like, he can survive a nuclear blast. I don't...
So can Hulk.
It's not gonna hurt him, He just keeps destroying things.
Hulk is taking a nuclear blast point blank.
Well, big whoop. I don't know what to say about that.
Do you think that this fight...
Doomsday did that in the Superman-Batman movie.
Oh, that's right, he did.
He just got stronger from it.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the Superman-Batman movie, he had the ability to absorb energy.
Yeah, he definitely...
He had different powers.
Well, they showed his adaptability, for sure.
Yeah, but he didn't have to die to do it.
Maybe. I don't know if like the nuclear explosion killed him. I don't think it did.
Maybe it killed him and he resurrected right away?
Right away.
I don't think he'd... Well, because then the
It didn't really seem like he had resurrection powers in the film.
No, because he got stabbed with the kryptonite spear and died. He was a lot more Kryptonian than he is here, I guess.
Yeah.
In comics.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this gets to the point where he gets Hulk so mad that the Hulk starts emitting so much gamma radiation that it starts like...
That it does nothing? What is it going to do? It does nothing?
Well, what does radiation do? Well, like it affects the cells. It breaks the cells down. It like melts
you're not breaking down Doomsday's cells. He could withstand like Omega Beam, energy.
Well, that's stupid.
It's big whoop. That's radiation. No, not a problem. His cells are not getting broken down. His cells don't break down.
This is an interesting fight.
Because I know how Doomsday, breaks down the Hulk. He just punches him into a bloody green pulp. But it's like,
so Hulk has to be smart enough to not let him do that. Like, unless he like smashes his head to a pulp, if he does any other part of his body, like punches his arm or something into a pulp, Hulk may be able to leap away or something. I don't know. In order to heal and then take a different kind of tactic, or you get mad enough actually so that can't happen again.
Here's
or
the
he
thing.
becomes so durable.
Doomsday is so fast and so strong, definitely stronger than baseline Hulk. Doomsday was able to kill Superman with a blow.
With one blow?
Well, no, multiple blows, but they both gave each other a final blow.
Ew.
I definitely see Doomsday taking out the Hulk fast enough where Hulk doesn't get strong enough to be able to do this, what Superman did to
Doomsday. And like
Doomsday.
I said, that's his only chance of winning.
Yeah.
Because potentially if he doesn't do that, Hulk is going to get insanely stronger than Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hulk wins.
Yeah.
Because I guess he would smash Doomsday into a pulp.
Let me ask you this real quick. You know who Weapon H is, right?
No.
You don't know Weapon H?
No, what's Weapon H?
It's a new thing that in Marvel Comics they're introducing a new character. It's like a clone between Hulk and Wolverine. So
that's awesome.
It's a Hulk with like these bone protrusions and huge ass like Wolverine claws. Who would win in a fight between Weapon H and Hulk?
Sounds like a gimmick.
Because Weapon H is essentially Doomsday. It is absolutely a gimmick. It's fucking Doomsday.
How have I not heard about this?
I don't know.
Is it because I'm a year behind?
Yeah.
Okay. Who would win in a fight between what? Who?
Well, I'm essentially saying I think Weapon H is more powerful than Hulk, and Weapon H is essentially Doomsday, a ripoff of Doomsday.
No, I don't think you're right. I think Hulk is always the strongest. I don't know anything about Weapon H. I don't know if he gets like stronger with the angry he gets or whatever. Mm-hmm. But nah, bud. Should we just take it to? This is an interesting fight. It's like it's Doomsday has to be fast, or Hulk has to be smart enough. I think Hulk can outsmart him.
But how? Well, there's no time. He can't think that fast. He's gonna be too busy being beaten to death.
Well, I will say that I am not as smart as Bruce Banner, so I can't figure that out off the top of my head. But I'm sure it could be done.
You'd have to do some kind of environmental thing, which is always the case with Doomsday. You have to be leading him to a rocket ship and then blast him off, and that's how you defeat him. Is he's no longer in the battlefield.
Well, what Hulk did to Abomination in that movie was that he ripped that protruding bone out of his arm.
Ooh.
So he might be able to rip the stuff off of him and then stab him with it and shit. He might be able to actually dismember him since he has so many protruding parts.
Yeah, I guess that's a lot of grapple points. I didn't even think about that. I don't know.
Can he regenerate those bone parts if Hulk rips them out?
I'm pretty sure he can. He can regenerate, in general.
Well, he did that in Batman vs Superman. She chopped off his arm and he grew this big spiky bone in that thing. Yeah. So I can see that happening here. But then it would be cool if Hulk rips out this big thing and then all of a sudden he's like Gladiator Hulk, where he has this big axe
brass
bone
knuckles
and a big
bone.
sword bone, kind of thing, and then he turns into World Breaker Hulk, and oh man,
I don't really see that hurting Doomsday though.
Well, he can't feel pain, so no, it won't hurt him. But
he's just
But he can get hurt. Just because he doesn't feel pain doesn't mean he can't get physically harmed.
That's true.
Yeah.
it'll take a lot, but
yeah,
using his own bones against him, that's crazy.
I like that strategy.
That's crazy.
It's something Bruce Banner would think of. All right. Okay, let's take it to the stat machine.
Sure.
AKA my computer. We'll run the stats through the machine and see who comes out on top after 1,000 simulations.
Cool. I think that was the sound of the world exploding.
Yeah, that was the sound of the non-environment breaking.
That's the only possible outcome of this match, because this match would totally break the planet if these two guys.
You mean it would be a world breaker?
Sure.
Yes.
You didn't even get into that. What is World Breaker?
No, World Breaker Hulk is the Hulk that came back from World War.
Okay.
For World War Hulk from Planet Hulk and attacked all the heroes, and he was at his strongest at that point.
Okay.
I assume he'd get that strong during this fight if Doomsday was slow enough to kill him. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did run 1,000 simulations. And I have a winner. So we base the winner on whoever wins the most out of those 1,000 simulations.
Right.
No person ever wins all 1,000 of the matches.
Right. So when you're talking with your friends and you're like, oh, I guarantee you this person would always beat this other person. It's like, not really. I mean, you could always write a way around where, Batman can beat Superman, essentially.
Right.
So we come up with a percentage of wins, and whoever wins the higher percentage out of the 1,000 matches, we declare the victor.
Yeah, we declare the majority winner.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So, this was an interesting matchup. We were about to say the same thing right there.
Yeah.
The stats were tit for tat, I swear. Like, Doomsday's faster, but Hulk's smarter. We said that Doomsday's capable of causing more damage initially. But we also said that what did we say the Hulk was better at? Oh, we also said Doomsday was a better fighter, because you said that Doomsday has fighting experience.
He's millions of years old. Yeah.
Right. But he's not a brawler. He actually has some skill to it.
Yeah.
To his fighting.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna trust you on that one. But it was tit for tat and who was higher on the other. And you also have to take into account that the Hulk, these numbers can potentially go even higher, because he is limitless. So Hulk,
that was tricky.
Hulk's gonna win, basically, is what I'm saying. But I have the official stats here. Do you want to hear them?
Yes.
You want to hear?
Yeah.
Okay. So the winner of the Doomsday Hulk fight is.
Fuck you! Come on.
It's Doomsday.
Yes.
It was nearly 50% though. Doomsday won 512 matches out of the 1,000 simulations.
51%. 51.2%.
2%. So he only won 12 more matches than the Hulk did. This is a coin toss.
That is really close.
This is just like the Bane Iron Fist fight, where that was so close that it was a coin toss. If I were to run these simulations again,
Hulk may end up on top.
Hulk may end up on top.
I figured that was going to happen.
But we don't run more. We only
do it once.
Yeah, we only run 1,000 simulations.
I think you did one match twice because you were so pissed off or something like that. And it still came out the same result. But I knew this was going to be a coin toss. So, but I'm glad for this one
that it landed on tails.
It landed on heads.
No, Doomsday's tails.
It totally makes sense to me, because Doomsday is not holding back. He has no moral anything there. There's no reason why he would hold back. He starts off with the Hulk. The World Breaker Hulk already is. Just sort of ignoring Banner.
And I don't think Doomsday is as strong as World Breaker Hulk, because like I said, World Breaker could have destroyed the world with just a few punches.
Dude, you know how many worlds Doomsday has destroyed?
Yeah, but over the course of a period of time. Not like his footsteps didn't destroy whole cities. That's how strong the Hulk got. So no, I don't think he's that strong to begin with. I think a lot of these. I think Hulk would have to get to that point though to beat Doomsday for sure.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to be angry when it comes to these close matches. 512. I mean, just 12 matches over the Hulk. Well, I guess technically 24, because Hulk would be at 488.
That's right.
I mean, that's still not that much. It's just 12 matches over half. I'm proud of my boy for standing up so well, because, it was a tough match.
But listener, if
I'm more pissed off by like the landslide decisions that we have. Like sometimes we have matches that go up and it's like not even fucking close, and that pisses me off.
Yeah, I've been angry a few times. Like the last one, that was bull crap.
Yeah, I could tell you got angry at that last one. Well, I guess that's I think that we were tied, but now you're one ahead.
I'm one ahead now.
Yeah, in terms of the overall, all the matches that we've done between Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty close. I'll catch up with you in our next Duel episode, which will possibly be our next episode. It all depends on when Punisher...
They need to announce
Netflix
the Punisher
comes out.
release date.
Yeah.
Because I've heard even talk that like it may not even be this year. I think with the whole, Las Vegas tragedy.
No, it'll still be this year. They if they're going to delay it, they still have the opportunity to delay it later this year. But no one knows when it's going to come out. So all the rumors that it's been delayed are just crap because they haven't announced when this has come out. They wouldn't announce when it's going to that it's been delayed. They would never announce that it's been delayed because nobody knows when it's going to come out anyway.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but I guarantee you it's coming out the week of Justice League.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I would do.
Of course.
That would be awesome. So our next episode will either be if The Punisher does come out on October 3rd, which is crazy to think about. That would mean that The Punisher was only 5 days away.
Jeez.
So if it comes out then... Did
you say October 3rd?
October 13th.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say. It's October 8th now, as of this recording. So if 5 days. If it comes out at that point, our next episode will be the Punisher Netflix review. If it doesn't come out, we're going to do another Duel episode, and then which will, of course, be followed by the review of Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
So, exciting week. If we end up doing a Duel episode, it'll probably be like our special Halloween episode. I'm super excited for Halloween. Last year's Halloween episode was the Joker versus Green Goblin, so we got to come up with some similarly like spooky Halloween-y kind of.
I like the idea.
Each other.
I like we rarely do villain against villain. I like the idea of doing something like that for Halloween. Just making that like an annual tradition if we can. If
a villain duel.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, guys. I'm gonna be Iron Man for Halloween. I just got my costume.
I'm gonna be Rocketeer.
You are? You're not gonna be a DC guy?
No, it's always been my lifelong dream to own the Rocketeer leather jacket, and so I kind of went out and splurged on one, and so I needed an excuse to.
You got a Rekka pack too. I've seen that.
I built it. Yeah, out of HVAC materials.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah,
lights up and everything.
Well, I'll be representing at least. That's the important thing, and I have the goatee, so I'll pull off a good Tony Stark. So anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll see you guys again in 2 weeks. And, the hint. I didn't give the hint for our trivia question. I almost forgot about that. Okay, so this episode's trivia question was, what was the first licensed song from a studio album, not another film score, to be used in an MCU trailer or teaser? Same question for the DC Films Cinematic Universe.
When we say, like, studio album, we mean something that, like, you could buy on iTunes, something that's not independent.
It's not from a film composer,
right? It's not from a film composer. It's not an independent album. It's a studio album,
right?
Studio song.
Yeah, and the hint is this is a pretty good hint actually, but it's kind of obvious if you think about it. So we're looking for the first licensed song that was used in the Iron Man teaser and the Man of Steel trailer 1,
because those are both the first films to come out in their respective film universes.
Yes, correct. So, get us the name of those songs, guys, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Until then,
up and away,
true believers.